Today we're going to look at how to use the online MEP testing because later on, as we get closer to the end of our testing window, you are either going to take the MEP science test or you're going to take the MEP social studies test. And additionally, we're going to give you some time to mess around with these practice tests so that you can get familiar with navigating the website. So today, I just want to show you how to use the website so when you get down to the media center or your respective computer lab, you guys understand how to use these applications. So MIST is the computer application we're going to be using to take the MEP science or social studies test online this year. If you're in 8th grade, you're taking the science test, and if you're in 6th grade, you're taking the social studies test. This short practice test is designed to allow you to practice taking a test using MIST. The practice test won't be scored, so don't worry about making mistakes when you answer the practice questions. We will go through the directions together and answer several questions together in this simulated video. You will then finish the last few questions by yourself. All right, Vikings, prior to taking the student practice test for MIST, I'm going to go through some of the helpful tips and tools that you can use for the online MEP test. MIST is the computer application that we're going to be using to take the MEP science or social studies test online this year. For 8th graders, we're going to be taking the science test online, and for 6th graders, we're going to take the social studies test online. This short practice test is designed to allow you to practice taking a test using MIST. This practice test will not be scored, so don't worry about making mistakes when you answer the practice questions. So in this video, I'm going to go through some directions and show you how to answer questions and how to use different tools in the online test. And then when you get down to your respective computer lab during your practice session, you'll have a chance to use all these tools on your own so that you get more familiar with the online testing procedures. So the first thing that's going to happen when you get down to the computer lab is you're going to have two choices: to take the Fall 2013 MEP Science Test or the Fall 2013 MEP Social Studies Test. And if you're in 8th grade, you'll take the Science. And if you're in 6th grade, you'll take the Social Studies. For the purpose of this video, we're just going to click on the 2013 MEP Science. But remember, 6th graders, when you take your practice test, you will be taking the Social Studies. Once you click on that, you should see a screen that says MEP 2013 Fall Science MIST Practice Test. And if you're 6th grade, when you click on Social Studies, this will say Social Studies instead. When you take the real test, you will be asked to confirm that you are the student taking the test. Since for this practice test, we do not have to log into the test with our usernames and passwords, we won't see that screen today. On the real test, you will actually have a username and password that you'll be required to use to log in before you get to this part of the test. Another thing we won't see today as we take the practice test is a screen that will ask you to enter a class or group code. If necessary, you will receive those directions later on when we take the real online test. Now, we're going to click the Start Test button and review some helpful tools. You should now be at the directions for using MIST screen, as you can see right now. I'm going to go through some of the directions, and as I read them, please do your best to read in your head on the screen. You will be presented with a number of multiple choice questions. Read each question and choose the best answer. If you cannot see the screen or the entire question on the screen and all 4 answer choices on your computer screen, then you will use the scroll bar to move up and down. The scroll bar is located on the right-hand side of your screen. You can see here we can scroll down the page. And as you do that, all the way to the bottom, you can see a paragraph here about the review button. Let's scroll back up and learn about the zoom button. Click the zoom buttons in the upper right-hand corner of your screen to zoom in or zoom out. The magnifying glass with the plus sign zooms in or makes the text bigger. The magnifying glass with the minus sign zooms out or makes the text smaller. Let's try the zoom buttons now. If we click on the zoom out button, you can see that it makes the text smaller, and once that zoom out button becomes gray, it's now inactive, which means it can no longer zoom further anymore. Let's zoom in now and make our text bigger. The zoom in button is the magnifying glass with the plus sign. Click once, you see what happens. Click twice, you see what happens. Click the zoom in button, makes a scroll bar appear at the bottom of your screen, as you can see right here. You may use this scroll bar to move right and to move left to see the entire sentence. Using the zoom in tool can be helpful for you to see things in more detail. You can scroll again right to left to see the entire sentence, and that is the zoom in button. Now what we're going to do is zoom out and get back to our normal size, as you can see right here, and we're going to continue reading. Using the scroll down bar, we're going to talk about the flag button. You can see here the flag button is at the top of your screen. If we click this flag button in the upper left-hand corner of our screen, it turns green. You might want to flag a question so that you can go back to it later on. Maybe you're unsure about the answer. Maybe you think there's two possible good answers. So when you flag it like this, you're able to return to it. The flag will remind you to go back to it, and then you can fix answers later on. We will practice more with the flag button later. Now, for now, we're going to click it off and use the scroll bar to scroll down so that we can see the rest of this page. I'm going to read aloud about the review button. Please read in your head. Click the review button in the lower left corner of your screen if you would like to review your test. The review button will allow you to see lists of all questions, any unanswered questions, and the questions that you have been flagged or marked for review. To review a question, select it and click on the Go To item button in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Let's try it. If we click on the review button now, you'll see that it reviews the items on this test. And if we click on the directions for using MIST and click Go To Item, we're back to the directions for using the MIST screen. Now we're going to click on the next button. This is the green button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and it helps you proceed further into the test. At this point, we're at question 1 of 4. Now keep in mind, you'll have more than 4 questions on your real test, but for the practice test, there's only going to be 4 questions. This is a very typical type of question you're going to see on the MEP science test. For social studies, it'll differ, but you'll still have the same format. Remember, this test is for practice only, and it doesn't matter if our answers are right or wrong. No one's going to look at this score or even review your scores in this practice test. Again, please notice the green flag or the flag button in the left-hand corner of your screen. And notice the zoom in and zoom out buttons on the right-hand corner of your screen. If you look to the bottom of the screen, you will see the review button, which we just talked about, and a previous button and a next button. The previous button will take you to the previous screen or the screen you were just on. Let's click on it and see what happens. Notice now that you're back on the directions for using the MIST screen. Now we're going to click on Next, and now we should be back on question 1. Let's take a second to read this question. The inside of a car in the sun with all the windows closed can become very warm. This is an example of light energy transforming into A, heat energy, B, sound energy, C, chemical energy, or D, mechanical energy. Let's try clicking on an answer. Let's try A. And you'll notice when you click A, inside of the circle it turns blue. Let's try clicking B. Notice that you can't answer 2 answers because once you go B it becomes blue and A is no longer the answer you're choosing on. The nice thing is it's very easy to change your answer if you think you made a mistake. All you have to do is click on the one that you think is correct, and now it turns blue again. Let's pretend now that we're not sure of the correct answer and we flag this for review later on. So we go ahead and click on the flag button, and now the flag turns green. Let's go on to the next question. So we'll click next, and now we're at question 2 of 4. Notice the scroll bar on the right of your screen. We're going to scroll down until we can see all 4 of the answer choices. Now we're going to scroll back to the top of the screen. You can use the scroll bar to read everything related to this question and to answer this question. You can also use the zoom out button, the minus button. Remember, this is the magnifying glass with the minus sign, and you can do this to see all of the question, plus the 4 answers. You can also click on the zoom out button again, and everything will get smaller. You can either use the scroll bar or the zoom out button, or as in this case, both, to read and answer the questions. Let's skip this question for now. We're going to click on the flag button, and now we're going to click next without selecting an answer. And at this point, you'll be on the 3rd question. Let's read and answer question 3. Human beings are mammals and can be most accurately described as A, warm-blooded, B, cold-blooded, C, invertebrates, or D, single-celled. Let's go with option A. And now let's click on next if we feel good about this answer. And at this point we're going to be on question 4. Let's skip this question 2. Notice how we do not have a next button on our screen anymore because this is the last item. Instead there is a finish button. This is because we are at the end of the test. Let's go ahead and click on the finish button and see what happens. Now this screen tells us, it says, are you sure you want to finish your test without answering all of the questions? So in this case, do we want to finish our test? Absolutely not. We're never going to submit our test unless we've answered every single question. So we're going to click no because we're not sure that we want to finish the test. And now what happens is we go back to the last question. Now we can use the previous button, if we'd like, to go back and answer any questions that we've missed. Now using the previous button works okay on a short test like this practice test, but if we have a longer test like the real science or social studies test, there's got to be a better way to review answers or missed questions. And in order to do that, all we have to do is go to the lower left-hand corner where it says review. Now if we click on this, you'll see a screen that says review your items. This is a very handy screen. It shows us all our test questions, and we can easily see if we have answered all of the questions or skipped or flagged some questions for review. We can use this screen to select a question and go straight to it without having to keep clicking on the previous or next buttons. You should be able to see that we flagged or marked question 1 for review. It has a green flag turned on, as you can see right here. If we go ahead and select or click on question 1, and then we click on go to item, we should now be on question 1. If we go ahead and quickly review this question, if we're satisfied with this answer, we can turn the green flag off, and by doing that, the flag becomes gray, which means it's no longer active. Now if we go back and click on the review button again, we'll see again our items that are reviewed on the screen. In addition to going to an item or question on the test, we can also use this screen to go directly to the directions for using Miss Screen, as you can see right here. This time though, let's try double clicking. So if we click twice on it, it automatically takes us back. So there's 2 ways that you can get back to an item. You can either double click it, or you can click it and go to item. And this is where we're going to stop for right now, and in the next session we'll finish up the different tools that you need to know for the missed online testing.